The Meliodas arc is over, and now we're kind of gearing up for the next arc, whatever it may be. But something I want to address really quick and speculate on is, could Meliodas have beaten Arthur, or at least driven him off on his own? That's something that I think I've seen a lot in the comments for the chapters by the end of the Meliodas arc, from like 78 to 81. And that is a good question. Could Meliodas on his own have taken on Arthur? Because we didn't really see much of the fight. It only really lasted like half a chapter until Tristan interfered multiple times, and Meliodas ended up having to hold him down. And then Lancelot had to finish the fight on his own, basically pushing Arthur to use the power of chaos in a more defensive manner and regenerate more, until his holy knights came to basically just bring him back home, ending the arc in him declaring war on the Four Knights of the Apocalypse. So we need to think about this really quick. Meliodas is the previous protagonist of the previous series, Seven Deadly Sins, and he is the parent of one of the four main characters for the Four Knights of the Apocalypse. Obviously, by the end of the Seven Deadly Sins, he was incredibly powerful, but we gotta think about, could he have actually taken on Arthur with the power of chaos at this point in time? Before we get into this discussion, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really does help, and it shows you guys like the Four Knights content on the channel. I know it's been a while since I've done a discussion video, but there's just been chapter after chapter with no break. So I wanted to wait a little bit till we had a break, but now I'm going to try and bring back more discussion videos every 2 to 3 weeks. But let's just hit that intro and get right into the video. So when we go back and we see Arthur fighting Meliodas, Arthur was not really using his chaos powers to attack Meliodas. He was just using his raw strength, and that in and of itself is impressive to block attacks from Meliodas that were able to just end up obliterate a mountain right behind them. Arthur didn't use any of his chaos powers for the most part in an offensive manner. He could have regenerated, and hell, even Arthur himself stated that Meliodas could have done better if Tristan didn't barge in right in the middle of their fight and then start going berserk and losing control. Arthur was just going to take the win by just cutting down Meliodas as he was holding down his son from going crazy. And then Lancelot shows up, as I previously mentioned. But thinking about it, we didn't really see Meliodas go all out in this fight. Yeah, he used his demon mark on his forehead to power himself up, but the thing is, he hasn't used all of his techniques, and he didn't really use his annihilation mode or assault mode, whichever translation you want to go for it, because that is basically Meliodas going full on all out, and he basically has control over his own abilities, and that is just Meliodas going all out. A lot of people are trying to bring up that Meliodas is the level of the Demon King right now, but you have to remember, after they beat the Demon King, Meliodas basically gave up all that Demon King power to break the curse on him and Elizabeth completely, and even destroy all the commandments so that the Demon King would not be revived. Meaning that Meliodas is not at the same level as he was in the fight against the Demon King, and even then he was holding back to a degree so he wouldn't destroy Britannia. There's the Cursed by Light movie where it took him and Zeldris fighting together to take down the Supreme Deity. Both of those characters are incredibly strong, and you can say that they got a lot stronger from residual exposure to the commandments and the Demon King's power. That I can give you, but we didn't really see Meliodas do too much, and heck, let's bring up the Chaos arc in the end of the Seven Deadly Sins, because that is the most relevant thing we have to go for. Now, in that arc, Meliodas, he did very well. He was still incredibly strong, but he had all the sins with him to take down Cath. Cath only had a portion of Chaos, but able to basically alter the surroundings and world around them to a chaotic degree. I know that is a very bad pun.
Ooh, you suck!
It is true. It was messing with their senses. Hell, he even put Meliodas and everybody else into a type of trance where they could see a potential future or potential outcome, and Meliodas managed to break out of it, I think from his own free will, and Arthur was there, I think, to help him also. But Meliodas struggled at that point in time against Cath, who had a fraction of Arthur's full power. And then Arthur had to beat Cath on his own by fully absorbing him. And Arthur lost an arm. He didn't fully regenerate his arm. And in the fight that we see in the main series right now, Arthur is using a prosthetic. If we really think about it, Meliodas probably would have lost the fight. But then again, it's been 16 years, so I doubt Meliodas was just sitting on his ass as he's slowly been seeing Arthur getting stronger, and he even made Arthur the promise that if the power of chaos would corrupt him and the 7 deadly sins would try and get him back to his senses, which is honestly a good reason for Meliodas not to slack off in his training, and I wouldn't put it past him to train a lot with Tristan so he can fully manifest his powers and learn how to actually fight. Going back to the fight that I discussed at the very start, Meliodas was doing fairly good. Arthur was parrying every single blow and even used Trillion Dark, an ability that caught Arthur off guard, and I believe even managed to get Arthur to try in that fight. But then Tristan goes crazy. Arthur himself, he could just be pumping up Meliodas due to he still admires Meliodas' strength and his advice. But even then, from the fight we saw against Lancelot, Arthur wasn't using chaos to its full degree, and even then, Lancelot pushed Arthur to using chaos power to a degree where it was self-sufficient and guarded him subconsciously. No doubt Meliodas would have been able to do that on his own, but he would most likely have had to go full-on annihilation mode and demon mark to actually push Arthur to that degree. He most likely would have damaged Arthur a lot, but with chaos power, Arthur could just instantaneously heal himself, which is honestly something that is very broken, and that's something that has to be done to be worked around. So in all passing, Meliodas most likely would not have been able to actually beat Arthur on his own. It is very possible that since Arthur seemingly can't use chaos all the time or at his fullest degree, Meliodas could have fought him to, at the bare minimum, a stalemate. But that's kind of highballing him right now. Meliodas is still the strongest character in the series next to Arthur, and below that, or at least equal, is Bon and King. But again, I'm highballing it here because Arthur basically has the power of a literal god against someone who lost the powers of a literal god that was responsible for healing away that said godly power in the first place. I am highballing Meliodas here, but the bare minimum that he could have done is just keep the fight at a stalemate until one of them would be exhausted or Arthur decides to leave. If it was a battle of attrition, Meliodas would definitely lose no matter how much stamina or healing properties he has. Chaos is just instantaneous healing to an absurd degree. And to close off this video, I want to just say, if Meliodas had the rest of the sins with him, then I believe they could have fought off Arthur and maybe potentially got him to use all of his power at once to try and fight him. Because in chapter 80, it was just 3 minor panels, but we saw that the rest of the sins were getting ready to go in and help Meliodas. Bon was ready in Benwick, King and the Anne were ready in the Fairy King's Forest, and Gother was ready with a long-ranged attack back in Dalflair in the mountain range from the previous arcs. So that was basically what caused Arthur to just be like, alright, I'm heading out, there's no point in me staying here anymore. So I do think that the sins would have definitely done some real damage to Arthur. I doubt they've just been sitting on their asses and doing nothing for 16 whole years, just raising their kids around their kingdoms, with Arthur slowly getting corrupted by chaos, and then eventually just starting to do what he's doing now, and doing all the crap he's doing with Camelot that we found out in the previous chapters. So overall, Meliodas definitely would not have taken down Arthur. No way. He's not that strong. If he had the Demon King's power still, then yeah, I see that happening. But it's still very unlikely that he would have killed Arthur. He wasn't going into that fight ready to kill. He wanted to just knock Arthur's senses back to normal and just get him to stop doing all the craziness that he's been doing. So yeah, that's basically my whole thing about Meliodas not basically being able to take down Arthur. Granted, there is the possibility he probably would have destroyed half of the kingdom, but that's something that we don't really need to consider now. But that could happen in the future. Meliodas going all out against Arthur now that we know more about chaos and it being more of a defense mechanism to keep Arthur from dying. But the basic line of this video is Meliodas can't beat Arthur on his own, and he basically needs the sins to get Arthur to leave. And they could have actually beaten him. I mean, King's insanely strong. Bon is the strongest human alive that was able to go toe-to-toe with literal deities, so that kind of makes a lot of sense. Hell, if Bon was there, I think Meliodas definitely would have been able to push back Arthur a lot more. But still, it's just all speculation and just headcanons at this point. But yeah, Meliodas, he couldn't have beat Arthur on his own. Stalemate, bare minimum, but right now, Meliodas isn't strong enough to take down Arthur. Honestly, Lancelot does seem like the only character that could actually do any real damage to Arthur. We still need to learn more on why Lancelot is so strong. I'm going to do a video on Lancelot at some point, either in December or early in January next year. But yeah, that was just a space discussion video. I hope you guys enjoyed these types of videos. I want to do more of them in the future because I like just talking about these series that I'm covering and just reading. And I like hearing your interpretations of events and thoughts on the matter as well. Leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments down below. And it shows that you guys really do like the content I do on this channel and want to see me do more. And if there's any other series you want me to just do baseline discussion videos for, let me know in the comments, and I'll most likely do one in the future as well. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to be updated on future videos. But with all that said and done, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have an awesome day.